We welcome viewers to When Privacy Stopped Feeling Private, Episode 4, When the Boundary Stopped Carrying the Burden. A boundary has one primary duty: to carry the burden of protection. And that's why it exists. A refuge carries the burden of recovery. A change room carries the burden of safety. A support group carries the burden of trust. And when the boundary works, the woman does not have to keep proving it should exist. She's protected by it. Then co-governance enters, and slowly the burden moves. The catastrophic consequence of shared governance, shared authority under law, is burden transfer. The female boundary no longer carries the whole protection. The woman begins carrying it herself. She monitors what the boundary was built to settle. She calculates what the institution was meant to clarify. She absorbs the vigilance the structure created to remove. And this is where privacy stops functioning as protection and starts functioning as negotiation. Female spaces were never merely locations. They were psychological safety structures. Their purpose was to reduce threat assessment, reduce exposure, reduce uncertainty, reduce the need for continual defense. But when biological governance is forced to share authority with identity governance, the boundary becomes less able to perform that role. The woman begins asking, is this still female governed? Will this remain protected? Will I be believed? Will I be blamed? Will I be punished if I object? These questions are not neutral, they are active in the body. They produce vigilance. They create anticipatory threat assessment. They turn ordinary spaces into monitored spaces. And this is how chronic adaptation begins. The woman changes before the institution admits anything is wrong. She avoids, she silences herself, she scans, she withdraws, she lowers expectation, she stops trusting the boundary to carry what it once carried because it's not there anymore. The system may still claim the protection exists, but it doesn't. And the woman now lives as though she may have to defend it at any moment without any warning, all on her own. And that's not protection. That is conditional permission. And conditional permission cannot perform the psychological function of privacy because privacy requires rest. Privacy requires certainty. Privacy requires the ability to stop guarding. And once the woman becomes the final guardian of the boundary has already failed part, if not all, of its purpose, because it can't be instituted. My final statement for this lesson, lesson 4. The deepest injury of co-governance, shared authority, is not only that female boundaries are contested, it is that women begin carrying the burden those boundaries were created to carry for them. And the system stops absorbing the instability, the dysfunction. The body absorbs it. The female absorbs it. The boundary stops settling the environment. And the nervous system begins settling it instead, trying to. And when the woman becomes the substitute for failed protection under new laws, the clinical consequences begin accumulating inside the existential life of the biological woman. See you in episode 5.